You forgot. God didn't forget. We lose track of it because all we see is Jesus dying. See, look at the disciples. What did they see? Jesus dying. They scattered. Man, they were in the wind. They were gone. Some of them were hanging around watching. But they forgot. He's going to rise again. Because they scattered. We will act differently if we know I'm going to rise again. Jesus, he knew I'm going to rise again. He didn't like it, but he went through it. If he had forgotten he was going to rise again, he would have gotten off the cross. He would have called down 12 legions of angels, taken care of the whole situation, gotten off the cross, and said, enough of this is enough of this. I am done playing this game. We're going to go do something else. We got to go build a church. There's things to, churches to build and offerings to take, and we got to feed the sick and heal the sick and feed the hungry and all that stuff. Build big houses and all that stuff. And I'm making light of it on purpose because we forget. He didn't forget. God didn't forget. The disciples forgot. How much have you forgotten in the middle of your battle that I'm going to a place? God's taking me from where I am to where I'm going. And just because you're in the battle doesn't mean you're not going there anymore. It just means here's the route to get there. Crucifixion and death. That's the route. There is no other route. Your flesh is crucified, you die to yourself. That's the route. How many believe me? Your flesh is crucified, you die to yourself. What's the two things in life you do not want to have happen? Your flesh to be crucified and you die to yourself. Let anything else happen, God. Do anything you want. But don't crucify my flesh, and I don't want to have to die to myself. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I'm all right. This flesh isn't so bad. Crucified life, death of the old man. If you want to take it on into the New Testament, that's what it talks about. Crucified life, death of the old man. Then, what happens? Resurrection life. Resurrection power. So we go down, and go through all of that. This stuff all happens. Jesus dies. Jesus, the rocks are torn. The veil is torn in two. Many of the women, verse 55, were beholding afar off, which followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Joseph, and Zebedee, the mother of Zebedee's children. All right, verse 57. When the evening was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body be delivered. When Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in clean linen cloth. He laid it in the newt on his own tomb, which he had hewn out from the rock, rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre, and departed. And there were Mary Magdalene, Mary, and the other Mary sitting against the sepulchre. What happens here? The day of preparation for burial. What did the disciples do? They went on like, same old, back to what we were doing. They forgot Jesus is going to raise from the dead. What happens between faith and experience? Death and burial. But what did they do? They watched him die, they scattered, and they just prepared his body for, preparation for burial. They just prepared him like, this is what is what. I am down here. People settled in for what they knew and could see, not for what Jesus said. For us, the situation is over and set, not for God. We look at the circumstances and we figure the situation is set. God never figured that way. He was going from here to here. We went from here to here, and this is it. We see life as this is all there is now. This is where life is. This is where life stops. This is where I die. This is where I'm living the rest of my life. I just soon get used to it. Nothing's going to change. I'm always going to be here. Look how bad it's gotten. Look how bad things are. Jesus is dead. It's all over. Let's go fishing.
Well.
Yeah, that's what Peter did. Gone fishing. Let's get him ready for burial. Prepare his body. They were putting him in the ground forever. Nothing gives, as far as I know, nothing gives any indication that they were preparing him to come again from the dead, to rise from the dead. Nothing. They were preparing him like they do everything else. That he was in the ground, it was all over, and don't know what we do from here. That's how we as people do. We settle in for what we know and what we can see, not for what God has said. What is the faith in your life that he's put? In other words, what has God spoken to you? No, it's not here yet. Guess what? We're still on the road going from here to there. I'm not there yet. I'm still on the road from here to there. When he spoke to me, how long ago was that? 28 years ago. It had been 28 years since the first time I got prophesied to I'd be in the ministry. And subsequently after that, things that this is what's going to happen, I'm not there yet. I'm going there. And there's times that everything in life kind of puts up roadblocks and said, this is not going to happen. All of life, all the circumstances are right up against me saying, nope, sorry. Because for them, it gets worse. They prepare Jesus for burial, and they put all the herbs and the spices, and for me, it always seems like you're getting ready for gumbo, because all the spices and the herbs and
gumbo for the worms.
Yeah, for the worms. That's what I always think when you're preparing something, spicing it up. No, I don't want that kind of gumbo. It just see, Rosie, when you marry, this is how my mind thinks at times. And still, I can preach. Still, God gives me a message. He doesn't forsake me. But what are they doing? They're getting him ready. They wrap him up nice and tight. They stick him in the tomb, and they put the big stone on the tomb. What's that mean to you?
It's over.
It's all over. After that, what do you have? It's all over. Isn't that how life goes? This is what it looks like. This is what the circumstances say. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. It's all over. God has not moved because I feel this way. You said the key phrase, God has not moved yet. He knows what he said. He knows where you are. How long does it take to get from faith to experience? There's a road we have to go through and things we have to go through. We have to go through crucifixion and death. Now we've been through death. Now you go through the preparation time for burial. And that's when nothing's going on. Things are flying around you. Everybody's doing stuff. All the people were doing stuff. Jesus wasn't. What was he doing?
Laying there.
He just laying there.
Being dead.
Right. Laying there acting dead. What was actually going on? What was
down to hell and took the keys.
That's right.
Overcame death, hell, and the grave.
He never slowed down. He was in hell taking the keys of death, hell, and the grave from the devil. He was taking all authority. He was taking everything to himself. But all they saw was dead body. They saw nothing. They didn't see what was actually going on. We lose sight of what's actually going on. We don't see God's preparing your life for later on. He's preparing and working and changing and moving situations around and taking the authority and letting your life be good and dead. That you don't pop right back up and start down the same road you were on. You got to be dead for a while.
Amen.
You want the flesh stinking. I mean, you just want it nice and dead. That when you get up, you can look and say, this is dead flesh. Don't want to keep this. But Jesus had descended into the lower parts of the earth. Somewhere, the New Testament talks about descended and was taking the keys from the kingdom. We look at what we can see and what we know, not for what God's doing. So where are we? That's verse 60. Joseph had taken the body and wrapped it in a clean cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock, and he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. He left. It was over. Then where do we get to? Verse 62. Now the next day, followed the day of preparation, and the chief priests and the Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that the deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Everybody forgets what Jesus said, except whom?
The devil.
The devil. The devil remembers what Jesus said. You might forget what he says to you, but God doesn't forget and the devil doesn't forget. We think if I just sit here, he'll leave me alone. No, he won't. He knows what God said in your life. He knows what he's doing in your life. He's not going to leave you alone. He will not leave you alone. So what do they say to Pilate? Was it Pilate? Yeah. Pharisees came to Pilate. Yep. Verse 64. It says, Command therefore the sepulchre be made sure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night, steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead, so the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, You have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as you can. I love that. Make it as sure as you can. So they went, made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. What happened here? The devil moves in. See, Jesus is already in hell. He's already taking the keys to the kingdom. The devil knows what's going on. He's watching this happen. So what does he do? He gets his guys to go in and try to reinforce the attack and stop what God's doing. Isn't that what's happening here? They go to Pilate, and what do they say? We want to make the seal. What is it? Sure. What are we making sure? Lost my spot. Yeah. No. Make the sepulchre sure. We want to make the sepulchre sure, and to make it sure means to secure it. What's the devil trying to do? He's trying to secure your defeat, because everything on the surface said one thing: defeat of Jesus. So what's he trying to do? In the flesh, on the outside, he's trying to make the defeat sure. He's trying to make it secure. He's going to do whatever he can to secure your life. If he's got you down, he's going to try and secure you that you're down. He's going to send people your way. He's going to make sure you hear the right thing. He's going to keep you down. He's going to turn everything he can against you, knowing what's coming on the backside. Unless he can try and get you to walk away from it. So he said, make it secure, set a seal. To put a seal means to set a seal on it. He wanted evidence of his work. He's going to show you evidence of what he's done in your life. The devil is. He's going to prove to you, this is what I've done. He's going to set a seal in your life. How many of you have ever seen the work of the devil in your life? You've seen the evidence. This is what I've done. And he is big to show you. Big seal. Now, here we go. Stamp it on. You see the President of the United States. No matter who the President is, wherever he is, there's always the seal of the President. If he's going to a podium, they hang the seal of the President of the United States. Why? They want you to know the President's there. They want you to see the evidence. Air Force One, what do you see? Seal of the President of the United States of America. There's a seal, there's evidence on there. The devil is trying to stop what's going on. So where are we? Number 1, Jesus spoke. 3 days I'll rise again. Number 2, crucified and died. Number 3, day of preparation for burial. Number 4, the devil tries to reinforce and stop what God's doing. So he makes it sure. He secures what he's doing. He sets his evidence on what he's doing. And then he sets a guard. This is when it seems like the devil's on guard, protecting his problem and misery in your life, and God is nowhere to be found. This is when it gets darkest. We're 3 days down the road now. He'd been dead 3 days. The seal has been set. They've secured the tomb. The guard is there. Every demon from hell is standing there. You've got your own personal little devil guard standing there saying, this is not going to happen. Every time you're going to believe God, this is what you said, Lord. It's not going to happen. He's there with his little spear saying, it's not going to happen. I'm right here. It's not going to happen. Why don't you give up? Here's the evidence. We sealed this thing up tight. This